Hi! On the Woodpecker today, I'm making 2 urns. One for the brother-in-law, one for the sister-in-law. Almost 2 years ago, my brother-in-law asked me if I could make him a simple cremation urn. I designed this. He loved it right away. Now, I need to do it. So I go into the shop, armed with these 2 sheets of paper, and I begin. Most of the wood will come from this maple plank that I had previously surfaced. The first thing I do are the front and back panels of the urns. They are thinner than the rest, so I rip them in two. But even with my table saw at its highest, it's not enough. I need to finish the job on the bandsaw. By removing most of the wood on the table saw, I'm more confident that the bandsaw won't mess up my piece of wood, but I still need to surface them after. Now I can cut the wood for the sides. But the rest is not enough for the tops and bottoms. I need to use part of this plank. It's time to rip all this to it. The burn marks are not great, but since this was maple, I was anticipating this, so they're wider than what I need. Now that I have the wood, I need to make the joinery. I begin by the side grooves. But the front and back panels are thicker than the grooves, so I need to cut some rabbets. Perfect. This means that now I can route the edge profile. This is what I had in mind for the sides, but I need to sand all of this really smooth. Then I can cut the 8 pieces that will be the outside of the urns. Good. Now that I have all the pieces, it's possible to glue them all together. I apply just a little bit of glue. I really don't want any of it to squeeze out in the front, so I use my syringe nozzle to apply it. I make sure it's square and use some clamps. The glue didn't squeeze out from the front, but rather at the top and bottom. One done. There's another one to glue. By the way, I rechecked for squareness after the clamps are on. Now I just need to wait for the glue to dry. Meanwhile, I can take care of the tops and bottoms. When all the pieces are cut, it's time to route their profile. In fact, the setup is the same as before. I always begin by the end grain, followed by the edge grain. This needs a good sanding. Now that the glue is dry, I can remove the small hard blobs of glue that I didn't wipe before. The top will go here, but it needs something to hold it in place. For that, I cut some thin strips of maple and glue them in place. As you can see, the pieces follow the same grain direction. I need to wait for the glue to dry again. When it has, I can remove the excess glue. Then I can mark where to drill some screw holes. The holes are exactly at the same place on both urns. I drill them. Yes, I know. When the top will be in place, these lines won't show. But I remove them anyway. After marking where the pilot holes should be, I drill them. Now it's possible to screw both tops. Next, I need to take care of the bottoms. I mark where to drill the holes, and I'm back at the drill press. I use the actual bottom to mark where to drill the pilot holes in the sides and drill them. I'm going to use these balls as feet. I need to drill a hole right through them. It's not too difficult. Most of the holes are already there. Then I cut a chamfer. Sand the tip of the chamfer and screw the legs in place. The screw goes right through the leg, through the base, and gets screwed into the side. Sanding the legs like I did ends up like this. I need to sand them again, but better this time. Both of them. Here are the two urns, but they really look drab. So I'm going to glue these medallions on the front. My brother-in-law really loves horses. Making this with Aspire is, in fact, quite easy. The first thing to do is to make a job size a little bit bigger than a medallion. Here the values are already entered. Then I make two big circles 4 millimeters apart. Between both circles, I draw a small half circle. With these three shapes, I can begin the medallion. I select the outer ring and create a curved profile. You can see the shape on the right side. But it's not curved enough to my taste, So I add more curvature. I like that. I just need to select the merge option and I have my first shape. Now I select both circles and choose to make a shape by sweeping between two vectors. Since my vectors are selected, I only need to select the half circle. Click on merge and that's it. I have a ring around the dome. The base of the medallion is done. It's as easy as this. But I want the base to be a little bit thicker, so I add a base height of 2 mm. This can be viewed on the preview right here. For the rest, I add another level on top, open the clip tab, and by default, one of the models given with Aspire is this horse head. I double click on it. But it's a bit too big. I need to change its size. Perfect. But I would prefer more depth than this. This is easy. I only need to change the shape's height and I'm done. I have exactly what I want. I can even check if it's not too high by running my pointer over the model. Here at the bottom, the height is written. Since it's never 20 mm, I'm ready for the toolpaths. I begin with a roughing pass. After selecting where the excess will end up, yes, the carving is thinner than my wood, I just need to check if I have the right bit selected. I add 3 mm around the model, I check that I have some machining allowance, a small ramp at the start of the cut, and that's it. Here's what the CNC will cut. I need to do the finishing pass now. This pass will be done with a 0.5 mm diameter ball nose bit. After calculating, this is what will be carved. The last thing to do is to cut the medallion from the piece of wood. I use the same arrow bit as the carving. I obviously cut outside the line and add tabs. In fact, I put 4 and let the program decide where to put them. But it's unnecessary to cut from the top because there's no more wood left. So I check how much wood is left on the side and figure out that if I begin to cut at 18 mm and cut 3 mm, I will cut right through. I have a warning that I'm going to cut into my spoil board, and it's okay. This is the finished piece. If you want to know, this was not too long to carve, just about 5.5 hours. For the other one, I just need to mirror the horse's head, and I'm done. Now I'm ready to glue this in place. I begin by sanding the exterior. Then I spread some glue. I'm careful not to put glue near the sides. On the urns, I stick some blue tape to help me align the medallions. I do the same thing for the second one. To apply pressure, I lay some sandbags on top. To add even more pressure, I add the heaviest piece of metal I have in my shop. The next morning, the glue is dry and I can apply the finish. I begin by cleaning all the pieces. Then I spray them. Now that the first coat is done, I need to wait 3 hours. Then I rub the finish with an abrasive pad. There's so much curvature on this that I do everything by hand. After cleaning the dust, I spray the second coat. I leave this to dry for 2 days and I'm finally ready to assemble the urns. Since this is a special piece, and like for all my special pieces, I only use brass screws instead of metal screws. I use them to hold the top and the legs and bottoms. With this last screw, both urns are done. I really like them. I wish I did them for nothing. All the rounded edges give them a special look. Even the ball legs keep up with the theme. But I know that between the tiers, people will only see the horse medallion. I must admit that they really are outstanding, and as you saw, it's quite easy to make. This was how I made the cremation urns for my sister-in-law and her husband. I hope to see you soon for the next episode of The Woodpecker.